Welcome back to Brentwood Stories.
Hello. Hey, Rosa. Thank you for coming.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hi, guys.
So, Rosa, you are a librarian at the Brentwood Public Library. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, I've worked at the Brentwood Library as an adult reference librarian since 2019. And I work on, in addition to the Seed Library, I work on ordering books and programs and a whole bunch of different things. And together, been in libraries for almost 10-ish years.
That's a lot longer than I thought you were going to say, because you're not old.
Almost. I'm almost there.
I mean,
almost to 10 years, I guess.
13 years in here.
Do you count the time, like, before you were a librarian as library experience?
I mean,
No.
I count the time when I was a page.
Oh.
Yeah, you should count.
Yeah.
Well, then I am also almost at 10 years,
Yeah.
and that feels ridiculous.
Yeah. You were a child.
I know. So today's episode, we're mostly it's called Mayflowers with Rosa. So we're mostly talking the Seed Library, and you are the librarian that headed the start of it, right? Can you tell us how the Seed Library got started?
Yeah, sure. Pretty much so in the winter of 2019, shortly after I started, me and one of our history librarian, Peter, started to work on forming a seed library because it was something the community was interested in and some of our coworkers were interested in us having. And the idea was complicated once COVID started, because we pretty much started in March of 2020. So then through 2020, through the pandemic, I pretty much ran it from my apartment. We were mailing out seeds to people until we were able to be back in the building, which was not really until 2021. So that first year, I was literally just doing it from the post office all by myself, which was a lot of work. And then each year since then, it's just kind of ramped up with the amount of people in the community who are interested in it. And we've had an even larger response each year. So this is the most seeds we've ever given out is this year. But yeah, since then I've met a lot of interesting people through it. I've learned a lot about gardening, which has been very interesting. And yeah, overall it's been just really a great experience. And it's great to see the community is so interested in it also.
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of seed varieties now.
Yes.
But when we first started and you were doing it from home, about how many seed varieties do you think you had?
We didn't have as many as we have now, but we did have a lot of different seeds. We got them donated from a farmer out east. So she chose the varieties for us. And similar to what we have now, just fewer of each type, like beans, tomatoes, squash, your regular vegetables that you would plant, and then maybe a couple flower varieties. And since then, we've found more avenues to get the seeds, so we have a little bit more choice in what we order, which is nice. So now we have a ton this year, which is exciting.
Yeah, and I'd love to know what the statistics were for how many people were getting seeds during COVID compared to what we have now, because I know we had a huge
Soft number. No
number, nothing crazy, but
this year, just the last month, we had over 1,300.
It was, so I also helped Rosa with the Seed Library. Okay, it was March, 1,301 for March, and then I just did the stats for April. It was 1,361 or 63.
Right.
yeah, just with how popular this is, I was wondering how popular it was during COVID.
Yeah, it was still popular during COVID. I don't think we weren't doing quite that many. Maybe it was 1,000 over the whole season, I would say.
It feels like something that a lot of people would want to do during COVID
Yes.
when no one had anything else to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It was gardening became very popular over the pandemic, obviously, because people were home. So we came in right at the right time in a way, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect to get a good sample size though of
future. It was overwhelming in a good way, just seeing how many people were requesting. Because we weren't sure, and we hadn't done anything like that before, so we weren't sure what the response would be like, and it was very overwhelming, in an exciting way. So it was great to see that people want to garden and they want to learn more about gardening. And a lot of our patrons already know a lot more than I do about gardening. So a lot of them have been great resources too for other patrons.
So, I mean, I know, you know, we know seed library in general is a relatively new thing at public libraries. Maybe can you speak about where we got the idea from, like who proposed the idea and how you decided to run it the way you did?
Sure. So I don't fully know all the details because I think Peter was the one who initially decided to do it. And I think maybe some of our administration was interested in it too. Middle Country had one of like the first seed libraries on Long Island in an actual library. And I had worked there in the past, so I knew a little bit about how they did theirs. So that's kind of how I hopped onto the project, because I knew a little bit about it. Yeah, it just seemed like we were trying to offer more different types of services that weren't traditional, like books and media or things outside of that. And it's become like so popular since the pandemic at other libraries to have a seed library. Like it's really blown up in the past like 2 years, which is great to see again.
I mean, yeah, the pandemic brought up like a whole bunch of new services in all different ways besides the seed library. I know we started up the Library of Things Kits program. Yeah, so just a lot of different services came out of it that I feel like could be incorporated permanently for any library.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's just nice to think about, like, you think of COVID and you're like, oh, everyone went virtual. But like, we made a seed library, so we went like back to the dirt.
And did.
It's I don't know, it's nice to think about it, that it's completely different than what you would expect. But
yeah, and the fact that we went virtual at all is also like really interesting because like a lot of libraries didn't have those programs beforehand. And now there's a whole bunch more parts of the community that could participate when they probably couldn't have in the past.
I mean, we had a virtual gardening group, right? So can you talk about that?
Yeah. So last year we've had a ton of different virtual gardening programs since we started. Last year we were very lucky to have Jessica Damiano, the gardening coach, did a weekly garden group for us on Zoom, which we had a really solid group of people that came to that every week pretty much and got gardening advice from her, and they just talked about all kinds of things. So that was really great. During the pandemic, when we started doing virtual programs, we did this program called Seed Saturday, which basically almost every Saturday, honestly, in the beginning, we had a different lecture about gardening from all different people who are experts in gardening and sustainability and we had a lot of native plant lectures. We actually had Doug Tallamy come on Zoom for us and do an interview with Peter, which was a big deal. He's like a big deal in the rewilding and native plant world. So that was very exciting. So our patrons got to learn about a lot of different topics that we were never having programs on before this, really.
So I know we were one of the first libraries that really kind of got into the native plants. Who kind of had the idea? How did that start?
So that was kind of through our partnership with Rewild Long Island, which is a great organization that's doing a lot of sustainability work. They're based in, I think, Port Washington. We were doing programs with, I think, David and Hilder, like other types of programs, and they were involved with Rewild, so we kind of brainstormed with them about what we could offer, and they did quite a few different rewilding and native plant programs for us. And then our patrons seemed to really respond to it. They were like just very interested in it, and so we had even more people back from that world. And then we had Anthony Marinello, who does Dropseed Native Landscapes. He actually donated some native plant seeds to us in 2022, I want to say. And he also donated a bunch of milkweed seedlings to us, which was very exciting. That was for a citizen science project that we gave away just to the public. We've been trying to do sustainability stuff in tandem with our seed library stuff, since it does go together very nicely.
And we are a sustainable library.
We are, yes.
Oh, yes.
So it fits in with that as well. Yeah.
Speaking of sustainability, so I know we can also have people bring in seeds as well. So we offer that.
Yep.
So could you tell us a little bit more about that program of like bringing seeds in?
The idea of a seed library is like that you're giving out free seeds to the community, and then if you choose, you also are receiving seeds back from the community or encouraging people to share their saved seeds with the community so that in the end, no one really would have to buy seeds, that you're kind of have a whole ecosystem of seed sharing. So we have received some seeds back from patrons. We'd love to receive more, but we have received some corn seeds, some radish seeds. We have one patron who regularly brings us like squash seeds and things like that. So we have had some patrons give seeds back into the seed library, which we usually distribute sometimes we go to outreach events in the community, we'll give those out, or we have a yearly seed swap, plant swap, so I'll usually put them out at that event too. So yeah, we'd love to have more of that. We'd love to encourage more patrons to save their seeds and share them with us, or if not with us, to share them with their neighbors.
Yeah. So what is our vetting process for people submitting seeds? Is there a standard that people have to follow for submitting them, or like?
So we prefer that we would like to know what the seed is exactly. So if you know the variety, that's ideal. If you know what type of seed it is and the variety, like what type of tomato is it, so that we can, if we're giving them out, people know what they're going to be planting.
I mean, people want to know. Is it a cherry tomato,
right,
or is it like,
for sure,
aroma tomato?
Yes, yeah. So the exact variety is ideal. Ideally, there were no like pesticides used or things like that on the plants. And other than that, though, we're pretty open. We'll take, if you want to give us seeds, like we'll take them and we'll find a use for them. Knowing the variety is the most important thing, really.
And then, of course, like when we do get the donated seeds, we would say that they're patron donated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't want to take that one, they can have one of the ones that we purchased and packaged.
Yes.
So I don't know about you, Rosa, but working on the seed library is my favorite part of being a librarian.
Aww, I love it.
maybe it's partially because I get to work with you, Rosa.
Oh,
but
thank you.
I think it's been very rewarding for me. I don't know how it feels for you.
Yeah, no, same. I love it. I think we've talked to some other seed librarians recently, actually. I feel like everyone really loves doing it. I'm a big nature person in general. My parents are extremely into gardening, so I grew up around it. And I love being in nature. I'm interested in sustainability. So to be able to do this at work was very exciting to me. It's not something I set out to do when I started working here at all. So the fact that I get to give out seeds and I lead a nature book club also, which a lot of our seed library patrons attend. And it really feels exciting there's something very kind of almost like primal about giving seeds out to people. Like it's like giving food out to people. You're giving something that's kind of essential. So there is something that feels just very good about that process. Yes, like nurturing, and it feels like you get a lot back from it as a librarian, definitely. Yeah. I mean, in general, as a librarian, but the seeds feel very special to be able to do that.
It really shows how far libraries have come with the different types of things you can check out.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to check it out. You just take it.
Yeah, you just take it for the seeds.
Yeah. I mean, it's very nice, I think, the way that we do it here, particularly just because we don't care if you have the library card.
Yes, right.
You don't need one. You can come, you pick out the seeds. We had like this really nice big cabinet just on the floor where you can go through and like look at the pictures of what it's going to look like, whether it be, flowers or vegetables. Maybe eventually we'll do fruit. But I know those are trees. Those are harder. We'll see.
Yeah. But we did just give out tree seedlings too, though, which was exciting. So we could try to do more of that too, hopefully in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if people are interested, anything that we can do, I think, to support the community and expand the reach of the seed library.
Yeah.
Just because it's my favorite thing. So that's what I get to do all day.
Well, I think the seed library is something that it naturally can extend to so many different things, and it naturally like ties into so many areas, whether it is like sustainability or just people who are into like home improvement. Like there's all kinds of areas that it ties into, which is cool.
Even for the people who just want to start it up as a new hobby, give it a
Right,
chance.
yeah.
Like, this offers a really good shot for anyone to try it.
Yep.
Okay, so when someone comes up to you, because I know I've seen them happen, and they go, I don't know how to garden. What do I do with these seeds? What do you normally say to them?
So I usually will either point them to books or websites that I know will offer good instructions. I do know the basics of like starting seeds, so I can verbally tell them like a short like instructional thing of like how to plant a seed. I live in an apartment. I don't have like any land that I garden on, so my experience only can go so far. That's the librarian part, is kind of knowing where to refer people to. The Cornell Cooperative of Suffolk County has a lot of like incredible resources on their website that we print out and give out to people. Or when we had the gardening group with Jessica Damiano, that was a really great resource to refer people to who didn't know how to start, because she could just go over it with them. So knowing those different resources where people can find information about starting or troubleshooting gardening problems is really important too if you're a seed librarian, I think. But I know the basics. I can walk someone through the basics of, and it's a lot easier, I think, than people think it is, because it really is just like you plant the seed. It seems
I was
like
gonna say, I feel like when someone asks you and they're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, my response is put it in the ground
yeah.
and water it.
That's truly is mostly it. Yeah, that's
then,
like the basics.
Yeah, of course. And then, like, obviously, there's so much more to it when you get to the different types and whatnot. But like when you do nothing.
Yeah.
Put it in the ground.
Yeah. It feels like magic. It doesn't feel like anything would grow out of a seed. It really is mind blowing to me every time I do it.
And I am not at all a gardening pro, but I grew a pepper plant out of the Red Solo Club in my windowsill.
She did.
So you can do it.
I'll say I planted a bean last year, and it sprouted 2 beans. So
beans.
There you go.
I already doubled my
Exact.
seed.
There you go. Two beans.
Looking forward in the seed library, what are some things that you guys kind of want to focus on? I mean, is there ideas for like maybe a community garden or some sort of growing in-house sort of system?
We would love to do that. We don't have like immediate plans as far as like an outside garden. I know we do have ideas also for doing some hydroponic gardening. Yes. Having different ways, if we can't do an outdoor garden, to bring some plants inside, just even to demonstrate how they grow to patrons. So we'd love to do more of that, definitely.
Yeah, we definitely have been playing around with the idea of, a propagation station.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Eventually, if they let us do it. We have to ask, but...
If you could first just elaborate on what a propagation station is.
That was my next thing, yeah.
Yep.
So the seed library as it is now primarily focuses on basically just your outdoor plants. So, your vegetables, your flowers, things that only grow outside for the most part. A propagation station is essentially taking a cutting of like a house plant. And then you put it in the water and it grows roots. And like from a little bit of stem and leaf, you get a new plant. And that would appeal to, like, because some people like to garden, but like they don't like to garden outside. They take care of their little, they like their houseplants. So it would be a way for people to share cuttings of their different houseplants and enjoy the seed library in another form.
Yeah, well, we really would love to do that, hopefully next year.
I'd assume it's also easier to start from something like that than it would be for a seed.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of houseplants are tropical plants. Like, they're not from here. They're from, like, tropical places. So I don't know, some plants are better grown from cuttings than from seed. That's true. So there are some vegetables like that, too.
Yeah.
So I have houseplants. That's usually how I reproduce them, is just from cuttings. It's easy.
There's actually like this whole thing on TikTok, like on plant TikTok, if you're on plant TikTok, that like if you ever go to Home Depot, there'll be like random leaves that have like fallen off of plants, just like naturally. And if they're not completely dead, like I've seen people like take the leaves from the ground at like Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever, you know, they get their plants and like have made the plant from that leaf, like from the cutting. But it's amazing. Like that leaf was going to go in the ground and someone said, I'm going to try to grow this. I think actually one of our custodians did that with a cactus, that he's growing a cactus from like a little portion in our office.
Oh, very nice.
Yes. Yeah, that's another thing that seems like magic when it happens. When you just have a leaf, you put it in water and it grows roots. It's really wild to watch.
Plants are magic.
Yeah.
So hydroponics, I know that's another thing that we've been hopefully working on. You know, we're applying for grants or whatever, so it's going to take a long time. Do you explain a little bit what hydroponics is?
I actually think you know more about it than I do. I know it's growing plants with water, right, instead of soil, I think. But you need a special system for it. You can't just you need special equipment kind of for it to do it.
Yes. So for the most part, hydroponics is what you said, you know, no soil. They make the really fancy systems, or they make like the little tiny ones that are relatively inexpensive on like Amazon or something. If you wanted to do like herbs or something, keep you around. But it has a lot to do with the nutrients that you add to the water, and you got to play with the pH levels.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But essentially, you get a good hydroponic system, you have fresh veggies all year round because it's an indoor system. Oh, so also in partnership with, if we get the grant, everything, this is all what ifs, but if we do get the grant and we do get the hydroponic system, part of that grant is going to be how we can 3D print a hydroponic system and like how patrons could build their own using our 3D printers.
Yeah, that's tying in our makerspace stuff too.
Yeah,
which is great.
Is one of the things that I guess like since I came on and joined the Seed Library team, my favorite part of the library, no offense, DJ.
Offense taken.
Is that I tried to incorporate, the makerspace, because I work in the makerspace and then I work in the Seed Library, and I'm like, oh my god, let's do both.
And then let's also incorporate it in the podcast.
There we go.
Yeah,
bringing it home, baby.
It's that what's the thing that all the companies want? It's that synergy.
Synergy. Oh my god, I am synergy.
But I mean, the makerspace reaches into a bunch of different areas of the library as well, and I mean the Seed Library too.
We're expanding our reach. We're offering patrons as much as possible. So speaking of offering patrons as much as possible, what Seed Library programs do we have coming up, Rosa?
We have a few lectures coming up in the summer. We have one with Jessica Damiano, actually. And we have one with Regina, who we've had a couple times in the past. And she also used to work on I think it was the Glen Cove Seed Library, which is also one of the earlier ones. She is like super knowledgeable. And I also do a nature book club called Nature Reads every other month. We are making our way right now through The Nature of Oaks by Doug Tallamy, who we had as a program in the past. And it is kind of a month-by-month exploration of oak trees. It's very fascinating. Highly recommend it. We're actually coming up on the end of that book, though, so we'll be picking a new one probably in the fall that we'll hopefully go through again. And that's a virtual book club. We have like a nice little group that comes, and a lot of them participate in the Seed Library. A lot of them went to all our programs during COVID, so they all know each other. It's a nice group for the book club. So that's open to anybody. Whoever's interested can come to that. You only have to read like 2 chapters every other month, so it's much less work than doing like a traditional book club, which is nice.
You don't have to read the whole book in a month.
Yes, no. Yeah, we're just doing like 2 chapters a month and 2 chapters every other month, and that's enough for us.
We have the Seed Library aprons. So if
we have the craft programs too. Yes.
If you want your own Brentwood Public Library Seed Library garden apron, you can register for that program. So on the one side, it'll have our little Seed Library logo, and on the other side, you can customize it. So you can put your name, your last name, a nickname.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty cool.
Your dog's name.
Yeah, if you
we're giving out merch. The Seed Library is expanding, and then the other program we're doing is we've done in the past, it was really popular. We are doing your own 3D printed garden statue
Yes.
that you get to like take home and paint.
Yes. So that's again like trying to pull in the makerspace stuff and be more self-sufficient or making everything in-house. And then you get a little statue you get to paint, which is exciting. And that, I think, the last time we did that, we got a lot of people who didn't even know about the Seed Library. So it's a great entry point for people who maybe haven't heard about it and are more into the crafting side of things, but maybe they will now want to go to the Seed Library too.
I mean, yeah, and you didn't have to put your garden statue outside. You can put it in your house plant.
Yeah, you can put it wherever you want. Okay. Because we still get lots of people who don't know that we have the Seed Library. It's like still lots of people who maybe don't come to the library as often as other people, which is fine. But I still get people at the desk who haven't heard about it and are really excited to see that we have it, which is great.
I mean, I will say it's been an improvement this year since you guys have a central location right on the floor.
Yes. Yes. In previous years, it was just behind the reference desk, so it was a little bit harder to get people to know that it existed. So, yeah.
I love that cabinet. I have to say we are very lucky
Yes.
that we have a great administration that was like, hey, we bought you guys a cabinet. Can you use this? And we were like, oh my God, yes we can.
It was a perfect size. It was like the perfect cabinet, really, for the Seed Library. Couldn't have asked for anything better, really.
It was good how you guys chose to do it this year with the little cards, too.
Yeah. I think the
yeah.
cards work out great. Like sometimes I know a lot of other libraries just put the seed package straight into the cabinet and then people just like pick whatever they want. But there's usually not a picture. There's usually, so, and we have in Brentwood particularly, a lot of Spanish speaking patrons. So like if they don't know what the word is in English, they can at least look at the picture.
Yes.
And, oh, okay, that's a pepper, know?
Yeah.
Right.
I will say, I will give it to a lot of other libraries, though. I've seen a lot of libraries repurpose their card catalogs.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very common thing to do. Yeah. When we first started, and before the pandemic, and we were trying to figure out how to do it, we didn't have an extra card catalog, unfortunately. So we were looking at all kinds of different ways to like put it on the floor in different like cabinets and stuff like that. And then we didn't have to figure it out because we weren't in the building. So it was really exciting this year to finally have the vision of it being on the floor be fulfilled.
And I think it's an old CD.
Yes.
Yeah. Cabinet. So if anyone, I mean, CDs, we still have CDs, but now they're on more traditional looking shelving.
Yes.
But if you ever remember those giant cabinets with like the square drawers, that's what we have our seed cards in.
And it's a perfect size. It fits almost, we have it pretty full right now because we have a lot of seeds currently. Yeah. We got like a very big donation from Island Harvest. So we have like a lot of seeds, which is great, that's part of why we're able to just kind of not have too many constraints on how many people can take because we are very lucky to have just a lot of seeds right now.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite and most popular seed?
That's a good question. Cilantro is really popular.
Oh, the basil. The basil
yes.
has to be the most popular. Because
basil.
we had so much basil. And we have gone through so much basil.
Basil's definitely up there. Any kind of tomato always goes very fast. And the flowers were very popular this year, too.
Yeah.
The zinnias went really fast.
Yeah, the wild bergamot is gone.
Yeah.
Those are both flowers.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I wasn't really expecting. Like, in my house, the only plants I attempt to grow usually are vegetables. Like, my dad does the flowers, but like... So in my mind, I was like, oh my God, we need 1 million vegetables. And then people were like, you got any flowers? I was like, oh wow. Just didn't expect that.
Yeah. When we started, we really had almost no flowers and people really wanted them. And I thought the same thing because I just always thought seed libraries mainly for food. But people want flowers too. Also, there's a lot of flowers that you can eat, which is fun.
Yeah, I had no idea you could eat nasturtium.
You can eat nasturtium.
It's pretty and you can eat it.
Yeah, it's great. Great in a salad. It's good stuff.
But yeah, so what is your main goal for the seed library for the rest of this year and maybe next year?
I think just to continue getting as many seeds out as we can into the community, and with that helping to foster a community of gardeners in our our library and outside of our library, just in Brentwood and in the area. I would love to do more programs where people who garden can meet each other and talk to each other and help each other out with their gardening issues. So you're forming, a community of gardeners. So we would love to continue encouraging that, just to offer new things too that people might not expect that the library would have. Yeah. So the seeds, we did the trees recently. So more stuff like that I really enjoy doing too.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big purpose of the library, is to form a community, be a community center.
Yep.
And I feel like we do a lot of things that foster that idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm down for more trees. I'm a member of the Arbor Day Foundation.
Yeah, trees. We did the milkweed seedlings one year. So more stuff like that is fun to do, because people don't expect that we're going to be giving stuff like that out at the library.
But you never know what you're going to find
Exactly.
at the Brentwood Public Library. Well, thank you, Rosa, for coming on and talking to us today.
Thank you so much. This was lovely.
Are you interested in being interviewed on Brentwood Stories? Email adultprograms@brentwoodnylibrary.org for a chance to be featured on the podcast. That's adultprograms@brentwoodnylibrary.org.